the next session I want to go over is a legendary Instagram story funnel. I'm going to be walking you guys through how to turn your stories into a predictable six-figure cash flow system. All right. If I stumble across my words, it's because I'm overly caffeinated. We've been here for fucking hours. All right. But the most important thing that I want you guys to understand is stories is your trust operating system. All right. So I broke down in the very beginning that we're going to break down a range of different operating systems. And this is the second one that ties into all of it. All right. This is a system that turns warm strangers into buyers before they ever hit your DMs or booking a call. So let's talk about the most underutilized conversion system in your business. This is the part of your funnel that prints money the absolute fucking fastest. All right. Using it, I generate over 30K cash collected in 72 hours. Most people flex that monthly. Did that in a few days. All right. And over 30% of the mastermind sales came from my IG stores. It's $25,000. Sell an event. Pretty fucking cool. I taught it to my client, Carson. Who here knows Carson? You guys know Carson?
The rapper.
Yeah. So, and he generated 1.5K on the front end just from literally Stripe links in his story and 9K on the back end in less than 72 hours. This is very, very powerful stuff. And over $100,000 within 6 months of applying this. Me, obviously, I was testimonial farming. I hit him up and I was like, yo, super random question. How much have you made? Over 100K. It's not ads, it's not content, it's this tiny bar at the top of your screen that absolutely prints. Guess who's the most handsome in this top bar? I mean, Marcus gives me a bit of a run for his money, but... So look, your Instagram stories are cheat code, but only if you guys use them correctly, because they warm leads 10 times faster than your feed. It's a made up statistic by me, but it's true, okay? They break limiting beliefs, they retarget everyone who's seen your content, whether it's paid or organic, and an easiest way to sign 4 new high-ticket clients a month. So why does it work so well? Well, after analyzing over 250 of my own personal stories, we look at this fucking data every single day. Here's what I realized. I was getting in front of 9 to 11% of my entire following every single day for free. Didn't cost me anything. Now, personally, for context, I have 7,300 followers. A lot of you guys in this room have way more fucking followers than me. And that means roughly 670 people see my face every single day and it costs me nothing. All right? That's equivalent of running a daily group sales call with 670 qualified people every single day. Who here watches my stories? All right, lovely. Anyone with their hand down? Was there?
No, something.
Let's go, right?
You're out.
So, look, here's how that 9 to 11% converted into sales for me after just making one ask a week. All right. So I track my metrics and my average story view rate is 9 to 11%, which means about 670 people view my stories on average. And every time I make an ask, about 7 to 10% of those people actually reply. That's about 56 replies, which isn't bad, right? Out of those 56 replies, we have about 30% of them that turn into qualified conversations, people we can actually sell stuff to, right? And from that, we book about 30% of them, which is 4 calls a week, right? Now, 4 calls a week, of course, it's about 16 calls a month, if my math is correct. And on an average close rate from stories, we close about 20% of those people. That's 4 new clients a month, right? It's pretty fucking solid. So 4 new clients a month equals 48 extra clients a year. Now, if you sell something for $5,000, that's $250,000 just from your Instagram stories. Cost you guys nothing, right? And if you sell something that's 10K, you can easily double that. That's $500,000 a year just off of Instagram stories. And the best part is you don't really have to chase cold DMs, right? You have to hope for the algorithm to go out there and work for you. You're just converting attention that you already earn. So when Charlie Johnson was breaking down that email marketing kind of sucks, had a similar experience. The Gen Z form of email marketing that works incredibly fucking well is Instagram stories. People tune in every single day. So these are just my personal numbers. Your ones are going to vary, but at the end, as always, I'm going to give you guys a little freaking QR code that you guys can scan. And within that, you guys can start tracking these KPIs. So you guys can systemize it, weaponize it, deploy in your business, make some fucking money, get an ROI on this mastermind.
What's the KPI?
Key performance indicators. So you know when I showed like 600 to 700 people watch my stories, percentage, so those are my key performance indicators. All right. So now that you've seen the math, let's break down why it works. Because in order for me to get you guys to actually do this, I need to sell you on it first. All right. So Instagram stories, they tap into 6 primal buying triggers. The first one is scarcity and urgency. All right. It's me posting a bunch of scarcity and urgency. Kennedy's actually used a story sequence. She made money from it, right? As you can see, promoting, there's only 2 Dubai Mastermind tickets left. As you can see, they're not on the left, they sold out. Of course, bringing in specific people to my inner circle sessions so people get FOMO from the outside. And then more importantly, always breaking down identity closes. Now I'm going to go a lot deeper into this, but just to give you guys a high level overview, right? I often inject FOMO into my audience very, very consistently by saying things like, look, there's going to be two types of people across the next 60 days. Number one, people that sit there, watch the sidelines, experience X, Y, and Z problem. Number two, people that take massive action, i.e. the archetype that I want my bias to embody, all right? That makes zero excuses, they get a shitload of results, all right? So every time you post a story, people subconsciously feel pressure that it's now or never because there's a little timer at the top and they expire every 24 hours, all right? And we're wired to access shit when it's disappearing. For example, when I bought my car recently, I went to the dealership and they told me that the owner of the dealership, his own friend, had made an offer on that car. And again, we're wired to act when shit is disappearing. So it made me more likely to want to buy the car and end up buying, right? Number two is intimacy and proximity. Stories feel like a FaceTime and not a broadcast, right? I often pull out my phone and talk shit to the camera every single day, okay? And that's not an accident. It's because I'm building a relationship with my audience. It's shot from your iPhone, in your voice, in your environment. It doesn't feel like an ad, doesn't feel like a sales pitch, even though subconsciously, that's what you're gonna be doing, all right? So as you can see, I get up to wild shit on my days off. I'm in a Breaking Bad costume, filming an ad. I was filming filming another ad in a doctor's outfit, right? But the framing screams behind the scenes, all right? And it actually releases oxytocin, the same chemical that we produce when speaking to friends. And that's why people respond to stories like DMs and not ads, all right? Now, I know Nabil very well, all right? We're friends outside his mastermind. And I'm more likely to trust him because I've seen him more times than an absolute fucking stranger. Even though Nabil could have bad intentions towards me and low-key be an evil guy, oxytocin has made him my friend. And also consistency and familiarity, okay? Familiar faces equal trusted faces. The more often people see you pop up, the safer that you actually feel to them, all right? So many times I meet random people in public. They're like, oh, I was just watching your story. No joke. When I was shopping for this mastermind fit, I was in Dubai Hills Mall, bumped into a guy and he goes, I was just watching your Instagram story. And we had a 5-minute conversation about half the shit I'd posted across the previous 6 months. So people watch your fucking stories, even if you don't think so. So even if they don't watch every single frame, that repetition builds recognition. Recognition builds trust, and trust builds conversions. All right? It's the same reason that you order coffee from the same place every single morning, because you're familiar with it, right? And you trust what's familiar. Me, I order coffee from the same 2 fucking places. I'm their number 1 customer. Arabica, backyard. They see me every day. And of course, micro commitments, all right? Polls, siders, questions equal mini yeses. So subconsciously, all right, there's a really good book on how to start a cult. Has anyone here read it? How to start a cult?
That's the book's name.
Yeah, book's name.
Oh, I was thinking like Hitler's book or something crazy.
No. I should pick that up though. Cut that. But look, it's a really good book. And one of the craziest things that the book talks about, okay, is micro commitments. So there's some really fucking crazy cults. And I might encouraging you guys to go out there and start a cult, maybe if it's profitable. But there's some crazy fucking cults that get people to sacrifice themselves. All right. Now the way they get them to sacrifice themselves eventually is they start with micro commitments. So first they'll get them to like cut certain friends off. After cutting certain friends off, they might get them to tattoo something on their arm. These micro commitments that build into them jumping off a bridge. I don't encourage you guys to do that, but that book will absolutely fucking teach you how to build a cult-like following. It's really fucking good, okay? So every time someone votes or slides that little fire emoji bar, they're training their brain to agree with them. And you are psychologically training your audience, which is what you should do. It's small compliance that snowballs into larger yeses, later like booking in a call or buying something from you. All right. Then of course we have social proof, which we absolutely fucking spam on the story. If you watch my stories, you'll see I spam social proof all the time. All right. Posting a client win to your IG story is like doing a sales call with 500 plus people at once. If you guys are rinsing out client case studies every single week without fail, you guys are costing yourselves a fuckload of money, right? And then novelty, right? You trigger pattern interrupts. So as you can see, I like to flex my abs since I have them, right? Post behind the scenes of me filming in a fucking straitjacket. So stories reset attention every 24 hours. And since they expire, people expect freshness. And that expectation keeps your audience scanning for your name at the top of the bar every single day. You know, dopamine hit straight from the founders of social media. So every story that you post serves a very specific psychological purpose. Most creators post randomly. In selling with stories, what we want to do is we want to engineer it so we have a middle funnel and bottom of funnel engines. So now that you guys understand the psychology behind why stories work so well, I want to show you guys how to use stories to nurture, qualify, and convert clients. This is where trust, proof, and belief breaking turn into book calls. So if you guys are struggling to get more book calls, implement the story funnel. It's very powerful, right? Because stories are your daily chance to reshape what your market believes. Kind of like earlier when we referenced that you create your own propaganda, right? And if you want someone to believe something, you gotta hit their brain with certain types of data, right? All of your prospects make certain decisions and purchases based off the data that you show them, right? For example, if you sat there and showed your client nothing but testimonials for an hour straight, how much more likely are they to purchase? A lot more likely, right? But if you were to implement that through daily stories that you post every single day to a shitload of people, and those are the same people that jump on sales calls, your conversion rates are going to be much, much higher. So I'm going to teach you guys a 5-part framework to get more leads, clients, and conversions ridiculously fast. So phase 1 is nurturing, i.e. breaking beliefs. So people don't buy your offer, they buy the belief that your offer will work for them, all right? And stories nurture that belief in small doses every single day. Give you guys an example. Like, I bought the fucking iPhone. Where is it? I had no need for this phone. I've got 2 fucking iPhones just sitting at home, right? But I bought the belief that when I purchase this phone, I'm going to create better content. I'm going to make more money. I'm buying the belief, right? I'm not really buying the product. Same shit as last year, right? Looks the same, looks slightly different, but it's buying the belief, right? And your ICP think the same. So for example, one of the things that we commonly do is we take account for what our ideal clients believe, right? And some of these beliefs are very sabotaging to our closers, of course, and their commission checks. Where's Zay? He's right there. So point of the matter is, one of the sabotaging beliefs that my ICP has is I can figure it out alone. And later on, within your sales process, you're going to notice that your closers might feed back to you and say, hey, everybody keeps telling me I can figure it out alone. They want to go try shit for another 3 months. And the reason that happens is you as marketers have failed to destroy those beliefs when you're marketing. And if you can destroy those beliefs successfully, those objections are going to eviscerate, right? So when my ICP believe that I can figure out alone, right? I post shit like this. People who make fuck you money have these things in common, okay? They act fast. They learn from someone more experienced with no ego. They drink a lot of coffee. They hate electric cars. Of course, mix some personalities here. And that urges my audience to move faster, right? And shed those beliefs. And then I follow that up with a client result, right? So you make your statement about breaking that belief that they have, follow up with a client result. Then I show them a client who made $18,000 in 1 day after investing into working. So here is a belief breaking framework so that you guys can implement it. Identify a list of the limiting beliefs that your ICP has, okay? Now, again, a really good tool. Who here uses Fathom? All right, more or less everyone in the room, okay? Fathom is fucking sick. It's an AI tool that you can pretty much use to go out there and record every single sales call. That data is invaluable because most people record calls using Fathom, but they never do anything with the data. What you can very easily do is you can export those sales calls and extract things like limiting beliefs, like Charlie spoke about earlier. You can use those objections that they have or the pain points to create ads. Similarly, you can do the same shit for your stories, right? So identify a list of all the limiting beliefs that your ICP has. For example, I can figure out alone. Show proof of the exact opposite. So someone that didn't wait to figure out alone, show what result they were able to achieve as a result of not buying into that belief. And then more importantly, reframe the belief verbally, right? So you have to make it hyper evident and clear to your audience that believing that shit that they currently believe is the same thing that's keeping them stuck, right? And last but not least, you create a CTA, right? So if you're done trying to configure shit out alone, reply with X. And you'll notice that when you run one of these a week, you're going to generate shitload of leads, more clients, all right? So a single story can shatter a limiting belief in 15 seconds. That's why I love stories, because they're so quick, right? So effortless to produce, and you can do them every single day. So what you want to do, right, is you want to write down your ICP's 10 limiting beliefs that keep them stuck from buying your offers, okay? 10 things that they deeply desire, right? Things that they want, whether it's more sales calls, more qualified clients, a better physique, straighter teeth, whatever it is that you pretty much sell. And the 10 objections, or the 10 biggest objections that they're pretty much going to throw at you. These are very, very important, right? And now you have 30 Instagram stories that you can rinse out. And the cool part about it is you don't even need to, you don't even have 30. You have a lot more because you can attack one objection in 3 different ways, right? I'll give you guys an example of it. If someone wants to figure shit out alone, right? A, you can talk about a specific client result. B, you could talk about your own journey and what kind of pain it caused you when you tried to figure out shit alone. 3, you could talk about other examples of people that are very, very successful in the space that haven't tried to figure shit out alone and how they've invested into coaches and mentors as well. So again, every single belief, objection, or desire, you can turn into multiple stories. So you're never going to run out of story content ideas. Once you have that, once you can successfully nurture, phase 2 is to build trust through undeniable proof. By the way, guys, am I going too fast? Was it a good pace? All right, solid. Because I know you guys are a little bit fucking tired, so I'm going to stay as entertaining as possible. So look, phase 2 is to build trust through undeniable proof, right? Trust, the formula for creating trust is familiarity plus proof plus consistency, okay? So the more people see you, the more they trust you. But familiarity only converts if it's paired with proof. If you just show up and show your face every day, unless you're Sydney Sweeney, right? You're not gonna fucking clean up a shitload of sales. So we post, like I said before, a shitload of client transformations, and we post them very cleanly. So I was analyzing some of you guys' story sequences. Ben, for example, I looked at your story sequences and I've noticed that you got a lot more consistent with stories. However, how you frame those stories is equally as fucking important, right? So we make our stories look very fucking clean whenever we post them. Again, it gives you more of a premium edge. So one of my recommendations to you, and of course everyone in the room, is whenever you post your stories, one of the things that works really, really well, have a low exposure background. Take any image of anything. You live in Dubai, everything looks fucking aesthetic. Low exposure it to the max. And then when you click on your Instagram stories, there's an image section at the top, all right? You can clip out the exact part of the testimonial that you want to show people and have a label at the top, right? Because people have Instagram brain. The more appealing something looks, the more likely they are to stay, look, and watch it. And of course, eventually, after doing it enough times, you'll develop a very cool signature style. So recommendations are.
Sorry, just a quick question.
Yeah.
Suza. Can you, like, for example, run the same story 2 weeks from now?
100%.
Because people forget and therefore.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We
Post
post,
that same story. Like save it, put it in like a folder, and then post that same story.
so I've actually done that a few times. Sometimes you can just hit it from a different angle. So let's say the first story sequence, you posted Amber's results, right? Like one of your clients. You could use that story sequence to break down an objection like, I need to think about it, all right? But then you can use the same client transformation to break down a different objection, which is like, I'll do it later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't worry, next time I'll wait for you guys to get the mic.
Forgot.
No, you're good. Anything else you wanted to ask based off that?
No.
So, yeah, regarding the Instagram stories, I've always been in this limbo where I'm like, is high leverage, it's kind of not, is a recurring thing.
Yeah.
Have you got it to a point now where a VA is doing majority of that, they get you 80% of the way there, you sign it off, they post it, or is that you still doing that?
Still me doing it. Because it's such a high leverage activity. Think about it like this, like, would you show up to take a sales call with 600 people at once?
Yeah.
And you've got a decent amount of followers. How many followers do you have? Again, pro. Like, how many story views do you average?
I actually don't know, maybe like 3 to 5K.
3 to 5K. You've got like triple the amount of fucking viewers that I do, bro. It's worth your time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And personally, like, you can obviously systemize it to make it easier. Like, keep all your client results in a specific folder, like, so that you can easily refer back to it and pick it back anytime. But every time I found that I've outsourced it to a VA, they can't make it sound like my voice. They don't understand the clients as well as we do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're always going to come up with some creative shit that we can say that they won't be able to do as well as us. You know what I mean? Yeah, sweet. And of course, another tip I want to recommend to you guys, right? Whenever it comes to story sequences, there's a lot of fucking really good people in space that post great story sequences, right? So what I personally do, whenever I see a good story sequence, I screenshot the living fuck out of it. And in my gallery, I have a shitload of people's story sequences saved that I later on recreate, redeploy in my own way, right? It's just an infinite cheat code to create more stories. Did you have a question?
Not me, I was just.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Don't, mate.
If you guys can follow me on Instagram, check out my story sequences, swipe them.
I've got 2 questions.
Yeah.
The first one is, one reason that I don't tend to post a lot of stories is because I'm making the transition from an organic content agency to a hybrid model. And I'm saying, people don't care about views. What they care about is the revenue. So what if you don't have much social proof? How do you compensate from that? Is it value or?
So we're going to go in depth with that. But I would say there's always a lot of things that you could do. Value is definitely one of them. Okay. Breaking down what's wrong with the old method, right? So one of the best ways to market something is to break down the old method and why it's broken, and the new method and why it works so much better. So as long as you do that, you can still build a lot of trust with your audience. Similarly, you could also use your own personal results. So even if you don't have a shitload of client case studies or social proof, you can always break down your own framework and what works especially well for you and why it works so well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then the second question that I had was, obviously you don't want to overdo it with the CTAs, trying to book a call. What's the ratio of CTA versus value versus lifestyle?
Good question. So personally for me, I like to cycle out one like hard call to action per week, because otherwise I've noticed there tends to be a drop off in the stories, right? So I like to make one very clear call to action, because the rest of the stories is naturally going to warm up and convert people anyways. You know what I mean? For example, our setters have a lot of DM conversations with people, and when they instantly start liking our stories, and I know I've psychologically posted some shit that's going to make them want to vibe, they have a very, very high close rate on the phone. You know what I mean? So naturally, when you do break a lot of beliefs, it shifts people to convert anyway. Sometimes you don't always have to make a hard CTA. You know?
Yeah. You need to tell that. Your question.
Yeah. Pass the ball.
So obviously now in my I haven't got any client testimonial other beer, and I had 1 month where I take a can't just, so obviously now doing this story sequence, I can't just put up the same Stripe payment or October 1 to October 31 thing. So I'm saying, why not? Because then someone might say, oh well, bro, why November? What's November? And I'm like, oh shit, and 8 or 9.
Doesn't matter. It's like 1K difference. Still that deep. And the truth of the matter is, bro, you can attack that result from so many different angles. Like, I'll give you an example. So if you hit 10K in a month as a barber, one of the things that might have allowed you to hit 10K a month is by attracting higher quality clients. Yeah. So you can say, like, the secret sauce to hitting 10K months as a barber is attracting better quality clients. And that could be its own story sequence. The second one could be like deading off crappy clients. So it's a different point. Yeah. You understand? The third one could be managing your booking system as a barber. The fourth one could be how you manage money as a barber making 10K a month. You understand?
As well as that,
Go on.
obviously I don't really post online how much I make.
Yeah.
Do a personal thing to
Yeah.
extend. Is there any other way around it? I don't want to sound like a pussy, but I don't want bored. You know what I mean? Yeah, of the whole world, people that I'm interested in. Obviously, I mean, marketing this on my personal Instagram account. Is there a way, other than just showing your Stripe payments for the month or your monthly revenue of showing the win? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other than flexing Dubai lifestyle, I think Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So my first thing to that would be like overcoming that belief. Like, be very shameless in your promotion to show your results. Like the people that get upset are the people that weren't your clients or potential clients anyways. You know what I mean?
It's not like pussy, I'm just a bit scared.
Well, I got stuck by that for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I'd happily tell people, well, put it online for 700 different people, you don't know that happy for you. Do you know what I mean?
It doesn't matter.
But
The people that aren't happy for you aren't going to be potential clients anyways. There's a lot more downside to you not posting it than there is for you posting it.
now I know it's gonna work. It's me.
Do you mind if I share a point on this?
Yo, go for it.
What?
Pause.
I was gonna say I do the exact same thing because I'm not really like super materialistic.
Yeah.
It kind of pisses me off having to like show that stuff. But I think the framing of like, here's what works for me, making X instead of like, look at me, I'm on top of the world. I make this, I make that. The framing is different. Where it's like, hey, I'm making this, and you indirectly flex that way.
Yeah,
I think that's coming across as you're a dick.
yeah. It's the way you position it.
Yeah. There's a way to be a dick about it, but there's also a way to wrap it in a story, right? So for example, you really want to frame it well, you could have a prior screenshot of your Stripe account when you first opened it and show people what you were making as a barber during the rough months. And then explain some of the pain points that you experience, like crappy clients, no-shows, people that respect your time, being constantly chained to the barber chair, and then 10K mobs, and what's allowed you to make that transition. And that way it's more relatable and people are going to want to connect with it. You know what I mean?
Go on, like, I don't know. I haven't got enough of sorry. I feel like I haven't got enough of these wins for myself because it's the same shit. Like yo, it's the same things with Bookta or Vizzy. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't show more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But you don't necessarily need more. You understand? Like, your clients don't buy from you because you have 100 things that they want. They buy from you because you have maybe 1 or 2 things that they're trying to overcome as problems. You know what I mean?
Consistency as a win. You just saying it again and again as a win. Does that make sense?
Yeah, people forget. If I asked you what you ate 2 weeks ago today, probably not gonna fucking remember. right? If I asked you what you saw on Instagram stories 2 weeks ago today, probably not gonna remember.
It's as well as like I see a lot of other people online and they
Yeah.
post similar stuff, story sequences, and yeah, I made 250K cash back.
Yeah.
less.
Yeah. yeah.
Appreciate
Yeah. Fair enough.
Big guys are bullshit. You can't. Do you know what I mean? Though.
Yeah, but you have to remember, like, you might not be the ICP, right? So again, it's like the people that are following you because they fit within your ICP. Well, majority of them, right?
So then it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
hope
it.
that answers your question, man.
Yeah.
All right, say one more to that. God, I was gonna say, so he's a personal trainer. Their friends in shape. You could go to either one of them, get in shape, best shape. It just depends on who you like more. And the new style works up. Ben's not a PT, but he should launch his program. Okay, yeah. Ben's fitness plan selling for $10.99. Yeah, $10,999. All right, cool. So look, my client win formula to attract more clients is very, very simple. We show the outcome, okay? Whether that's results, we bridge the belief, explain what they used to believe before working with us, because everyone has beliefs. Like our best clients have beliefs prior to working with us that we had to help them crush in order for them to get greater results, right? And chances are the prospects that you guys get on the phone have similar beliefs. So if you can use as much proof as possible to destroy that, you know, people are going to want to sign up. So, go on.
Yeah.
Possible, yes.
Quick question, just breaking limited beliefs. How do you find out those beliefs that from your ideal clients?
Good question.
Everyone, but
Yeah. So, on average, the best way to find limiting beliefs of your clients is sales calls, right? So, if you have previous recorded sales calls, you'll be able to hear people's limiting beliefs on the phone. Examples of limiting beliefs could be something like, I can figure this out on my own. That's a limiting belief, stops them from being able to work with you. Another good example of a limiting belief is, I need to wait until I'm at a certain level to invest into working. Right? Some people feel like they have to figure shit out. Right? Oh,
and all that shit.
exactly. And that objection is a symptom of that limiting belief. So whenever you look back at your sales calls and your Fathom call recordings, you're going to be able to start to extract these limiting beliefs and start seeing patterns. You know what I mean? And again, like you can always take the Fathom call recordings, put them into ChatGPT and say, hey, can you analyze 5 core limiting beliefs of my audience that you see coming up time and time and time again? And that's a really good way to find limiting beliefs.
And how often do you do this sort of structured stories?
So we cycle out, right? Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and say I have a very fucking regimented structure. Like by now, I've been posting enough stories to know when I need to post what. But I would say we cycle out most of these. So there's about 5 I'm going to run you guys through. And of course, I'll give you guys like a little table at the end that you guys can swipe. But I like to cycle them out depending on the day, right? Like if we get a client result that comes in today, ideally I want to leverage it same day. You know what I mean? So I kind of use it, pick and choose, but I make sure that weekly I make sure to hit like 3 out of 5 at least.
Good.
Yep. Thank you. Sorry, man. So, of course, your own personal wins. We post a fuckload of results of our own as well. Okay. Some of these can come in the form of money. I know, Hamza, you applied to some of these. And bro, I'm excited to come to the mastermind. But there's so many different areas of belief, areas of your own personal wins that you can break down, right? Some are tangible, monetary. If you guys are in the info or coaching space, could be a screenshot of your calendar, could be a screenshot of your payment processor, could be your own personal wins. Vadim, good example of you is flying out your mom and your sister to come out to Dubai. That's a personal win. Someone
Small thing to share also to Ben special. Mike, here with that. I'm catching it. Especially like after we hit like 30K in 30 days with you, like what really helped me like to Ben specifically, like that one of the objections of my clients was like I can't close sales because of the accent, especially a lot of from Spain, you know, from Europe. What I did, I recorded the video of how I did this, you know, when I intentionally spoke like that with Russian accent, you know. A lot of people speak like that, and because like people like I have a lot of people also from Serbia, like Northern Eastern Europe, like all parts of Europe specifically, helped me collect over 40K overall, like from those clients, just PIF actually. And then I just send them over this video in the chat before booking the call, and afterwards presenting the bonuses as the lead magnets before booking the call. They said like I'm almost closed, you know. But some people I spend like even 25-30 minutes on the call, they go closed, you know. So that's a powerful thing to use in the DMs as well. Like that. And Matt, you told me about this preview, like short video on Zoom, for example. I intentionally made people wait for me, you know. after 25 like second 30 seconds when all this like maps, when they watch the video, I said, yeah, only now we're gonna hop on. So that really like just skyrocketed the conversions. Yeah.
Just are we gonna speak about Zoom the Majigi after?
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll walk you guys through it. It's fucking sick. The conversion section that we have lined up for tomorrow is going to be banging. But point of the matter is, my personal win formula, again, it's very fucking similar, right? Show your own personal win, whether it's cash, result, specific milestone, and don't underestimate your wins, right? Like, just because you think that something is a small result doesn't mean that your audience thinks it's a small result either. Everything's a game of perspective, right? Add context, share lesson behind the belief, right? Or the belief behind the win. So I made over $150,000 this month. Now, the craziest belief that I had to shed that allowed me to get here is realizing that I can figure out everything by myself, right? Once I overcame that belief, X, Y, and Z happened, and here are the results, right? So if you're stuck with this limiting belief that's sabotaging your business and you want to overcome that, apply with X, right? So another one, which is very invaluable, is personal relatability and vulnerability. Kind of like Ben, who was speaking about earlier. So I often speak about different points in my journey, different challenges that I've experienced, because most of your ICP is a few steps behind you, right? And they're experiencing the same shit that you were going through 3 to 6 months ago. So it's very, very important to take note of what those things are, right? Even a really good exercise to do from time to time, right? If you don't know off the top of your head, is just write down where I was 6 months ago. Write down 5 of the biggest things that used to absolutely fucking stress you out, right? So for example, for me, 6 months ago, I was struggling with managing my fucking team, right? We were scaling fast. Team was a fucking headache. And we had to make a lot of fires, and that's something that was very, very painful to me, right? So of course, I'll create story sequences around that stuff. So if you can identify 5 things, you'll be very good to go, right? Here's another example of one that I did. When I was traveling to Bali, I went on a little month-long tour around the whole of Southeast Asia. It was fucking sick. I posted a story sequence about this past month. I've been doing nothing but traveling the world. Most coaches and agency owners build businesses for freedom, but they end up building their own personal financial prison, right? Posted a picture of me in the office when I used to practically live there. I had like a bunch of sources in the office because I used to do nothing but fucking live in the office. And then I relate to my ICP and I say, look, I was making money, but I was trapped in a financial prison. I had no time. I was working 8-hour weeks. I used to struggle to maintain 20K months. Screenshot of my payment processor. And I've been able to break that all thanks to X, Y, and Z, right? And whatever X, Y, and Z is based on the story that the ICP relate to is mental notes that they can be taking of things that they need to develop within their business. So if I say number 1, it was a killer team, now they're going to mentally tick off the fact that they're looking to build a killer team. And even though they know what they need to do, there's still an information gap. They don't know how to specifically do it. Guess who they're going to come to? You know what I mean? So it's very fucking powerful. So, of course, share your struggle, okay? Again, use pictures, right? Picture speaks 1,000 words. The more pictures you have of previous parts of your journey, the more it sells, okay? One of my clients, Yusuf Sheikh, he's one of the biggest Airbnb coaches in the whole of the UK. You guys know him? Yeah? So he's gone to prison a very long time ago. And he will constantly post videos of him in the prison cell with his jail phone, right? And I've seen that same fucking TikTok or Instagram reel go out more or less every single month without fail. The guy shared a story so many times, but he knows for a fact he's always going to be reaching new eyeballs of people that haven't seen that segment of his journey. So never be afraid to repeat, content, because building a brand is done through repetition. McDonald's, they say I'm loving it until it fucking rings bells in your head. So your audience is going to start to really trust you when you show the process, personality, and alternate between it, right? And then last but not least, funnel to your bottom of funnel, right? i.e. YouTube videos. So we've already broken down the 7-4-11 rule. You guys remember that one? Yeah? Cool. So one of the things that I personally like to do is I like to share a lot of my YouTube videos to my Instagram, right? Even though we don't get tens of thousands of views, we still get a lot of conversions from the YouTube videos, right? So, for example, I like to post hooks. I'm like, hey, this video should be required viewing if you want to hit 100K a month, and add a link. And the format for this is hook, so something intriguing about the video. Tease the video, of course, with a thumbnail. Again, you can do that with the picture option inside of Instagram. But most importantly, above everything else, use URL Genius, okay? I know someone is an absolute fucking novice in the game when I just see them linking it straight to their YouTube. And the reason why is because what's going to happen is it's going to open within the Instagram platform. And as a result of that, what tends to happen is people are just going to view the video within Instagram. They're not logged into their YouTube accounts. They can't subscribe. They can't watch your video. And what tends to happen, the way the YouTube algorithm is built, is whenever you engage in someone's video and you watch like 7 minutes or 50% or more, the other videos are going to start being suggested to you, which is obviously going to increase their watch time. Go on.
It is for the story post,
Yeah.
the YouTube it.
Yeah. So you want to use URL Genius. They're very cheap to use.
But what kind of hook would you use for the story post? Is it you speaking or is it a photo?
You can use a photo. You can use a still image.
How do you do a hook in the toilet though?
So look, this video should be required viewing if you want to hit 100K mark. That's an example of a hook.
Okay, so I couldn't see it.
No, it's all good. So you guys want to use URL Genius because again, like it's going to take people outside of the Instagram platform. It's going to take them onto YouTube. It's going to increase your watch time with them. And they're going to get followed around by other videos. The more videos that they binge of yours, the more trust that they build with you, the higher they're going to convert. All right. And of course, your CTA at the end of the video. So if you watch a lot of people's YouTube videos, especially in the info or agency space, they'll make subtle call to actions typically 3 times throughout the video. Usually around the 30% mark, then around the 60% mark, then right at the end, right? Because most people are never going to make it to the end of your video. So the earlier you make a call to action, the more people you're going to capture. All right. Phase 3, last but not least, is generating leads. Okay. So oftentimes I'll post a story sequence when I need an influx of leads. And this is kind of how I'll structure it, right? So in this particular example, I broke down, I was like, I just recorded the craziest training. It was meant to exclusively be for my 15K plus clients, where I teach you X, Y, and Z, all right? Now, typically a good format for this is you want to make sure that you have perceived value there, all right? Because if there's no perceived value, people are never going to want to take action on it, all right? So quantifying it with specific and tangible numbers is going to make people want to click, right? Or at least reply to your call to action. Second story sequence, I use the same image. And again, scarcity, right? I don't need to explain to you guys why scarcity is important. You guys are all marketers, right? But I'm giving this away to 10 people for free access, right? Launching 5 p.m. Dubai time, 15th of May. Reply of Octane. As you can see, we got a shitload of replies. Funny enough, Badib was one of the guys that replied to that. And I think you
As a
signed up
client, yeah.
shortly after.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So 3-part lead story funnel. I just made a free trading that will help you do X. Adding worth X amount is also very, very good, okay? Because if you came to me and said, hey man, do you want to drink this war? And I'm like, fuck no, right? I don't want to. But if you're like, this war is worth $50, right? Would you like to try a sip? I'm like, it's worth $50. Tangible value associated to it. I'm kind of curious to know what $50 water tastes like. I'm more likely to say yes, right? Then of course, deliver. I'm giving this away to X amount of people. Of course, make it a limited number of people who reply with X. And then you can convert them, right? Typically what works well is a mini chat sequence with a personalized voice note, right? And most of the time, this is where a lot of people leave money on the table, okay? Whenever they give out people lead magnets, they tend to fucking just give them the lead magnet and call it a day, right? But one of the things that we incorporated is at the end of every single lead magnet that we give out from story sequences, we send a voice message saying, hey, just checking up. Did you receive X thing? Okay. Yep. By the way, just wanted to ask, what's the number one thing that you're looking to work on? Is it this or is it this? And kind of like Charlie Johnson said earlier, it's a this or that. Because it removes the ability for them to say no. You know what I mean? Box them in. So, very, very powerful. And the most important thing I want to share with you guys is stop waiting for leads. Use stories to drive cold leads to warm leads instantly, right? Here's one that all of you guys can actually do right now. So here's an example of one that I sent out that generated me 143 emails, leads, plenty of conversations. I actually got a few conversions from this too, right? So earlier this year, I went to John Lee's mastermind, right? It's a complete fucking accident, right? And I posted a hook, right? It's like this mastermind was worth $2,000. Again, associate a tangible value to it. I was like, do you want my study notes for free? And what I did is I strategically went in my notes and I wrote little hooks at the top of every single one. So, for example, how to scale your coaching business to 100K a month in 30 days. All right? $1 a day ad strategy to get 30 clients. And of course, 25 AI tools to generate $20,000 per month. All right? Reply with access. Again, very cleanly formatted, very crystal clear for the audience to understand. And you guys can do this with this mastermind right now. Will section worth X amount, Mehdi section worth X amount, generate shitload of leads, right? Because people are going to be looking at you guys, attending this mastermind. They're going to get a bit of FOMO, of course. You guys are the best fucking speakers in the world. But in the end of the day, like, if it fits within your niche, you can definitely leverage this, right? Final phase is booking in qualified calls. So this is the exact story sequence that generated me over $30,000. I'm going to break it down for you guys, step by fucking step, so you guys can understand the psychology behind it. how it worked, why it worked, but more importantly, how you guys can duplicate it for yourselves, right? So I remember last time Mark, where is Mark? Somewhere outside. He was in Dubai, and I hit about 6,000 followers. Now, of course, not the best hook, but I knew it's a story sequence that will get replies. By the way, very, very important thing to note, two very cool things. Number one, whenever you post a story that gets more reactions, Instagram pushes it out to more people. So I know I broke down to you guys earlier that I average around 670 to 700 views on average on my story. But every time I post a story that gets a shitload of replies, it goes up to 1,000 or 1,200. So the more stories that you post built to get replies, it's going to reach more people. All right. Another cool hack is whenever you want to post a story sequence, especially when you're making a call to action, delete all your stories from the day before. Wait a few hours and then post a story. It's going to get a shitload of more engagement. You guys got to test it out. All right. So my personal hook was just hit 6K. Thank you for the support. Tiny milestone, right? Again, it's what you quantify as a result, which is very important. But here's the craziest part. I've generated over $14,000 this week. And I think it was like Tuesday or some shit. So very early into the week. I don't have a massive following going against the grain, going against what the average person teaches. Yet my sales calendar is fully booked. And we're just seeding in all the things that we spoke about earlier. Limiting beliefs, desires, so on and so forth, right? And then I made a pilot call to action, which is, I'm sick of gurus telling you to post hundreds of pieces of content, do backflips, run ads. So here's what I'm going to do. And then I made what I like to call the Godfather offer, right? Where I made it hyper clear that I typically charge $10,000 to work with me one-on-one. But for 24 hours, I'm opening up 3 spaces on my calendar for $197, where I will audit your entire business, build out a 90-day game plan to help you guys scale to 30 to 50K a month, right? So it's an irresistible offer and irrefusable price point. And I've seen Wolf sell these at like $1,000 a fucking pop. $3,000 a pop. So if you guys are still under the impression that you can't sell shit directly from your stories, it's not fucking true.
Got me actually.
Oh yeah, I did actually. Yeah.
There's proof is why I'm in Dubai right now. That was the number one question I asked. I was like, should I move to Dubai?
So take it, yeah, you owe me one because you wouldn't be here without me. Thanks for slide you some commission. Joking. And then of course, once I made the call to action, within literally 30 minutes, we had 2 people purchase, right? Straight away. Again, straight to a Stripe checkout link, and then from there to my candy, right? And of course, as the spots start filling up, you want to inject FOMO into the rest of your audience. So in total, we oversold. I was planning to only do it for 3 people. 4 people bought before I could close up the calendar. We had 788 dollars in front end sales, 4 qualified book calls with a close rate of 75%, right? And we total cash collected $30,788. Not one story sequence. And I've run that story sequence a few fucking times. So, yeah, go on.
Do you mind just going back to the sequence?
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a nice way to get paid sales calls because people are going to pay, their quality, they're qualifying. Because
Yeah.
so it's a really good friend.
And you always so you took these calls, people paid you £200 each, and then you just upsold them.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was so fucking easy, right? Because when people have already purchased something from me, the likelihood of them purchasing something again is a lot more likely. That's why I'm going to sell you guys at the end of this.
And how frequently would you run this sequence? Is it like a one time every quarter, month?
So this one, you can't rinse too much.
Yeah.
I found, for me personally, I kind of run this every quarter, but you can run it once a month, right? But you have to switch up the offer slightly and you have to tweak it. And when you notice that you combine this with all the other things that are broken down, like you're breaking their beliefs, you're hosting a shitload of the client results, they've been seeing your shit anyways, right? So when you make an ask, eventually something like this, they're much more high likely to convert on it. And the one thing I'd say, which is very fucking interesting, right? I've tested this a few times at different price points. The lower the price point, the less it converts, right? I ran this at $67. I had one fucking person that purchased that I personally didn't want to take a call with, so I refunded it, right? But the crazy part is, like, my client Carson, I told him to run the same story sequence. He charged $500 a pop for these calls. He had 3 of them book in. It's fucking crazy. So, as I'm telling you guys, that's $30,000 cash collect. That story sequence took me 13 minutes to create. I made $2,300 for every fucking minute I spent on creating that, which is nuts. So, here's a framework. If you guys can pretty much take a picture of this, okay? Just to regurgitate, it's hook, grab their attention instantly. Typically, a pattern interrupt works quite well. Proof, show results, right? Break a belief, very, very important. Value stack, this is hyper important. Show a massive fucking value associated to what you're offering, and then give them an irresistible price point that they can't refuse. Go on.
What coin would you put that in? That would you use?
What do you mean?
Like, at what point would I put this in my story? It's last after a month's first week of like.
So if you haven't run something like this before,
Yeah.
I would highly recommend that you start with some proof first. So
Showing
yeah,
study with myself.
yeah,
And then later on the line, then it's just me.
100%. And even if you do it first time and it doesn't convert, test it, tweak the message, tweak the offer, right?
Okay, little.
Yeah. So the more you tweak and iterate, the better your next offer is going to be. And even if it doesn't work for you, especially well the first time, don't be afraid to just constantly test over and over and over again. Because what you're going to find is the first message that you put out there might not click with your audience, or it might not be compelling enough for them to want to pay you directly off your story. But as you iterate and you target a different pain point, you might notice that that pain point converts a lot well compared to the previous one. You understand? Cool. Phase 5, give yourself ammo, right? So I often do polls, Q&As, and that's my audience data engine. So sometimes when I'm having a little bit of a writer's block when I'm coming up with ads or something like that, or a YouTube video idea, I just ask my audience what they're struggling with, right? And it gives me fuel and ammunition. So I'll give you guys a quick story of something that I did earlier in the year. I created a low ticket offer, and I pretty much validated that low ticket offer. So I ran a few ads for it. The ads weren't converting especially well. And I was like, fuck, I don't want to go out there and burn more money on ads. A bit scared, all right? So what I did is I went back to the fucking drawing board. I tested a few messages on my story sequences first, right? And I sold that low ticket offer from one message that worked incredibly fucking well. And after doing so, and I got a few purchases on the low ticket that upgraded to high ticket, I took that same marketing message and I turned it into an ad. And that was my first high performing ad for that low ticket funnel. So oftentimes you can validate your marketing messages to your organic audience and then run the same thing as an ad. Because if it works organically, paid ads is adding more fuel to the fire. You know what I mean? So anyways, use stories to extract projections and desires. Polls, sliders, Q&As, just for engagement. There's surveys disguised as content, right? Every response gives you new ammo for your next post. So you can ask a friction question. Most of these are very, very simple, right? What's the hardest part of scaling right now? Follow up every single person. So we just had a 15K PIF earlier in the week, and it came from story sequences, right? So I literally did a poll, which was like, hey, what's the number one bottleneck that you are looking to solve in your business? And then there was a bunch of people that fucking replied to that. My setters just DM'd every single one of them. One of the people we ended up getting on a sales call, because all they simply said, transition was so fucking simple. It was like, hey, by the way, I could break this down in a lot more depth over a quick call. Would you find that helpful? We transitioned them over to a sales call, 15K PIF, right? So they're very fucking powerful when used correctly. And then again, once you mine exactly what those objections are, you can turn those objections into story sequences and more posts. I call it the infinite story view, okay? You post stories, you get insights, you can create offers around those insights, you get more proof, and you can create more stories, okay? So stories are an absolute cheat code when used correctly. Your stories don't just convert your audience, they amplify every fucking ad that you run, right? I can't explain to you guys, like whenever we run like a large ad campaign and we spend a fuckload of money on ads, we get a shitload of followers from those ads. And sometimes, because we also collect like the Instagram handles and like so on and so forth, we see those same people following us. And even if they don't book a call right away, we'll see them liking our story sequences. And later on, again, the setters will message them. They scan through our story viewers every single day. And anyone that looks qualified gets DM from us, right? It's a very powerful thing that you guys definitely want to incorporate within your businesses. So strong stories equal cheaper leads, higher click-through rates, more book calls from paid traffic, and a fucking cheat code, right? So these are 5 levers that make this a 6-figure system. Obviously, lever number 1 is belief breaking that converts skeptics. Proof builds daily trust. Call to actions turn followers into leads. Scarcity drives urgency. Consistency builds momentum, right? And if you do this every single day, you're never going to worry about where your next client's coming from ever again. You will convert the attention that you already own, because remember, it doesn't cost you anything to run a story, right? And you'll compound your brand, trust, cash flow simultaneously. I don't remember who it was, but I was watching a marketer's video recently, and they said my stories convert my audience 1% every single day. So in 100 days, our conversion rate goes significantly higher. That's how I kind of view it, right? So if you guys, first and foremost, have you guys got a lot of fucking value for this section? Right, solid. So you guys can scan this QR code It has a story conversion playbook, story funnel tracker so you guys can track your reply rates, so on and so forth. Some plug and play CTAs and scripts, and some frameworks that you guys can incorporate. All right, guys, enjoy that section.
Very much.
All right, solid.
Also, Lauren was saying it's really valuable. She's going to use it for her stuff.
Okay, sick, sick. By the way, guys, before we conclude here, I'm actually doing a giveaway at this mastermind. So I've got an Elgato prompter, okay? These are fucking sick. So all my ads, I used to sit there through like hundreds of fucking failed takes. Now when it comes to recording content, I just flick one of these bad boys on, record my VSL super fucking quick, record my ads, record content, and so on and so forth. It's really good for filming hooks for your videos as well, all right? So the way you guys can enter for this fucking giveaway as the mastermind attendees, shoot a short video, right? And pretty much break down your biggest takeaways from the mastermind, tag me in it, of course. And then we'll pick one lucky person at the end of the mastermind and you guys will win one of these. Does anyone here own one already? All right, you guys are excluded from the fucking giveaway.
I want to win it and sell it.
Say that again?
Fair point.
All right, cool. You guys can enter if you want.
I'll buy it from you. Arbitrage.
Okay, yeah.
That's good, right? So, what would you need us to do?
So record a video.
Right.
Biggest takeaways from the mastermind. Tag me, of course, and then put your name in a fucking spinner. We'll spin it. All right. I'll put my name in it, so I get multiple entries. I have 2, but essentially, you guys can win an Elgato prompter because I don't want you guys to just walk away from the mastermind, learn a bunch of shit. I want you guys to apply it, use it, become significantly richer. So you guys pay me more money to come to the next one. All right, cool, guys. That's the end of this section. We'll take a 15-minute break, and then we'll come in and cover a section. All right.
Let's do it.
Sorry, man.
Awesome.